India Energy Week 2026, and we're being joined by Oil Minister Hardeep Singh Puri. He's been extremely articulate and surgically precise through all of his perspective throughout India Energy Week 2026. This is day 3, sir, and you've spoken a lot about geopolitics, India's energy security, enhancing that. We've also spoken about bilaterals and FTAs throughout the last couple of days. PM Modi resounding enhancing energy security, investments, etc. First off, talk about Canada, UAE, as well as EU, the mother of all deals. How is this really going to give a fillip to our OMCs?
First of all, I would, if you permit, introduce a slight note of modesty and caution. It's not over yet. So if you talk about surgical precision in discussions, I still have the whole day today and tomorrow to go. So I'd be a little careful. Look, I think your question is absolutely valid, right on the, hit the right spot. But your question has also got the answer included in it. If you start with the event India Energy Week, what is India Energy Week preceded by? It's preceded by a landmark bilateral visit which the Honorable Prime Minister hosted from the President of the UAE. We had a long one-on-one discussion and the delegations talks. It also fell, as it were, in the midst of the India-EU Free Trade Agreement. And last night, the Honorable Prime Minister also hosted 27 global CEOs, a few Indian companies, and all the other international oil giants, BP and, you name it, Total, Exxon. I mean, you just name it, they were all there. Also the big traders, like Vitol and others. And what is the message which comes through from them? That message essentially is anchored in and resonates when the Honorable Prime Minister, delivering his inaugural address on IEW 2026, talks about India's energy sector representing a $500 billion opportunity, and the E&P itself presenting a $100 billion opportunity. So when you hear the head of British Petroleum tell the Prime Minister in the midst of the other global CEOs, look, we are very bullish about rejuvenating of Bombay High, or we are collaborating on 98 by 2, or you hear the head of Total saying that we've already invested $5 billion, we are wanting to invest more money. And if that is the message, what does it say? It says basically that the hard facts that India is not only the world's third largest consumer and importer of crude oil and energy, it's also the 4th largest refiner. It is the 5th largest exporter in the world. So India is very central to the current global energy discourse. Also, that at a time when more and more energy is coming on the global market. You mentioned the Canadians. I skipped that for a minute, but I have, ma'am, in the last few weeks, hosted the Canadian Minister Sandhu. I had long discussions with the Premier of British Columbia. I had yesterday a very substantive meeting with Minister Hodgson. And if you heard what he said in the public domain, quite apart from what he told me, he said if one large country, he means his southern neighbor, has 8 years of reserves on crude, we have 100 years reserve. Now, take it that it's sometimes these things are said in conversations, meaning, but even if you give or take a little bit, see Suriname. There was somebody from Suriname in the CEOs. Rasal in Suriname was there. Yeah, he was there in the CEOs. Then Guyana. Then coming on market, Norway, Japan, Korea. I mean, it's a global 27 CEOs, not only from the West, the East, the global South.
So you did mention the 500 billion. I mean, Prime
It's an
Minister Modi
economic
mentioned that
opportunity.
that's the opportunity. But the investments that we're asking for were in almost all verticals: refining,
100%. No,
drilling,
no, we
ENP,
are not
etc.
asking for. There is, in fact, in some cases, the investor is wanting to come. For instance, there is a refinery being established in Andhra Pradesh, which is actually traceable back to a decision going back to 2014. And I saw that OIL has put in 10%. I know a lot of other countries in the Gulf region, I'll say, they want to invest in that. Because there is an interest not only in investing in the refinery, but what comes with it.
Right.
You have, madam, we have 100,000 plus retail outlets in India.
So, like you mentioned, the conversation is still not over. We still have
No, the conversation is gathering momentum by the day.
Through the day and tomorrow as well.
Yeah.
I believe you've also had a meeting with Iceland as well. What's being proposed on that
I had
end?
not only a meeting, let me explain to you, it was a follow-up to a visit I made to Iceland a few months ago, where the potential, they do most of their energy requirements, they meet it from geothermal. So I just give you an example. There is a young Indian living in Himachal Pradesh who's using geothermal energy for his apple orchard. Now, quite apart from that, in Ladakh, we have actually, I think it's ONGC has dug a geothermal facility and we are utilizing it. But I'm not going by this solitary example. You know, many years ago, we did not know that biofuels would become such a commercial proposition, such a assistance to our farmers. You know, we give 40,000 crores a year to our farmers thanks to the biofuels policy. But today, when you start looking at geothermal, I can still think that it's available in about 300 locations. It's a question of going and getting your science right and then commercially utilizing it. The point I'm making is, it's a fascinating story which is unfolding. Today,
with Iceland, you mean?
No, with all countries. Iceland is one example I'm citing.
But specifically related to Iceland, what are we tapping
Geothermal, essentially.
CCUS and carbon capture. Like
yeah, carbon capture comes with it, absolutely. And the Icelanders have done a fantastic job on that.
So will we be looking at technical collaborations with them or going overseas and
No, we are dealing with all. And you see, ultimately, these are arrangements between commercial entities. Okay. Yeah. These are arrangements which have to be commercially viable, and they're viable, and they're happening. I'm mentioning Iceland. What about Norway? Today, I mean, if you look at Norway, we started buying LPG from Norway, quite apart from everything. If you look at Japan and Korea, I mean, it's the first time I think I've been involved in all four IEWs, but shipbuilding has come onto it in a very big way. An arrangement has been signed by ONGC with for 2 carriers, one to come on by 2028, 2029. Look at the economic opportunity. 28% of our seaborne trade is energy. We are spending something like $5 to $8 billion every year on freight charges alone. You know, a ship will buy itself off for that amount of money. Now, if you are refining today, I'm using a rough figure, 6% of the global output of crude. That's going to go up to 10%. How many total large carriers are in the world? 2,500. So if you are refining 10%, you should have 250 of those large carriers. Do you know how many you have? Nil. So when we are placing orders for ethane carriers, for large VLCCs, for what are they called, Suezmax, etc., there's a great economic opportunity. Why? Why didn't we do it earlier? Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. You know, greenfield capacities. Now, our yards, PM visited a shipyard, I think in Korea in 2015. What was it? Hyundai. And when I went to the yard, and they're actually talking about active collaboration between that yard and India. What stands out is that our biggest yard, I think if I'm not mistaken, it's Cochin. It's 1/100th the size of that. Now, if you want to build a massive carrier, I know when I was in the Defense Ministry, we had to look at a yard which could, build the aircraft carrier. But these VLCCs, large ethane carriers are huge. So, you need greenfield. manufacturing capacity.
So I just
Now
want
in
to
Kandla,
interject you
Yeah.
on the refining capacity, and you've time and again said drill baby drill. I mean, US says that, but you've said that between all of these ENP oil majors, ONGC of course plans to drill about 100 exploratory
than
wells
100,
this year.
more than 100.
So we need a big exploration. India needs a big
That's
exploration,
Samudra Manthan. That's-
even bigger than Bombay High, I believe.
100%.
So what's your view and what's your target for all our OMCs?
Samudra Manthan is what you should look at. PM has unveiled a scheme whereby we will be digging hundreds of wells. We are now going into the concrete part of the scheme, asking for financial outlays. I keep citing the example of Guyana. 46 wells they dug, each one costing $1 million. It's 1,000 crores. It's on the 47th well they found it.
And that would mean also heavy capex and collaborations.
I'm coming to precisely. That's where Samudra Manthan comes in. That's why I keep telling the CMDs of my oil marketing company, you guys are thrilled that your profit after tax was $20 billion last year. You're all very happy with your quarter-on-quarter profit. But when we are pass on into the next phase of our lives, you will not be remembered for your quarter-on-quarter profit. Whichever guy hits the major discovery, every time they dig a well, they're finding gas. But the question is, where is the point where that discovery actually lends itself to large-scale commercial find of the kind that Guyana had? And that is where, once you dig a well here, you're getting a gas flare here. You dig a well there, you're getting something here. Well, maybe you'll have to go vertically. You'll do the fracking. It is happening. Only point is, wherever we are doing, it needs sustained and persistent effort. Madam, between 2006 and 16, which I call the dead decade, nothing happened. Why? They didn't spend money. ONGC, which is primarily responsible for exploration and production, it was spending 50,000 crores on providing the LPG subsidy. That's not their job. Now, we have insulated the domestic consumer from global prices. Prices went up. LPG is still being supplied. The companies ran a loss of 39,000 crores, but we are paying them from the exchequer. In other words, the focus now is on ENP.
So to move on from this dead decade that you're speaking of, for these OMCs to specifically focus on ENP in the next 5 years or so, say, to get that big exploratory wells.
Three things are required.
What is the big investment amount that they will require?
I'll come to that. 3 things are required. One is that you need a proper policy framework. You did that by opening up 1 million out of your 1.7 million no-go area. That you've done. Then you need the proper laws. And then you need the money. How much money are we providing on Samudra Manthan? 1,000 crores? I mean, I'm giving you a rough figure. But the PM's directions are very clear. It's not, don't be limited.
So, but 1 lakh crore won't suffice, and which is why...
Starting point. It's a starting point. They're already spending money. We're talking about an additionality of 1 lakh crore. But the point is, as you proceed and as you gain confidence and you've got foreign collaborators providing technical service, that 1 lakh crore will go up. 100% it will go up.
Sure. Yeah. I want to touch upon the ORDA Act and the recent deal ONGC signed with Reliance for resource sharing. This is one of the first such collaborations between a private company and an OMC.
Oh, there are many. Whether it's on this area, I don't know. But ONGC and our private sector have been collaborating quite a bit. ONGC and Vedanta have been collaborating. So I don't think it's a first. It may be what happens is that ONGC, if you look at today's paper, yesterday's paper, ONGC has got into a lot of arrangements, and that is shows the market confidence and shows also how the market is reacting. But there are many things going on. Some are being reported, some will be reported in due course.
Right. One final question, sir. You mentioned that you've been speaking to the Canadian minister. You've had 3 meetings so far. What do we see further or expect further on critical minerals and energy sourcing from Canada?
First of all, what I've done is with 3 different ministers is clear statement of intent from the Canadian side that they want to partner with us on energy cooperation. That's very clear. So far, we have some limited investment IOCL has made. The Canadians would like to participate in that $500 billion opportunity. But already the discussions are on for the precise dates for the Canadian Prime Minister's visit, and critical minerals is very central to that. I've seen figures around, but I'm not the minister in charge of critical minerals, etc. So I will not put a figure on it. But from whatever I've seen in the public domain, it looks very encouraging. So Canada is going to become another very major collaborator.
So we've already started diversifying as far as our crude basket is
concerned. No, the crude basket we had diversified earlier. We had diversified from 27 5 years ago to 41. That we've already done. But what you also have to see is that more and more crude is coming on the global market. So there are people who actually want to come to you, but we are doing it for everything. LPG, earlier we used to buy only from the Saudis, then we started the Qataris, the Emiratis, then last year IEW, we signed a deal with the Norwegians, then we signed a deal for 10% of our supplies to come from United States. So it's a lot of activity going on.
So while we are here at IEW 2026 in Goa, the Union Ministry there is preparing for the budget, of course. Windfall tax is something that has been very crucial.
I just want to make it clear, even if I knew, I wouldn't tell you, but I don't know. Honest God's truth is, unlikely that somebody like the finance minister or any finance minister will share the budget details with the other minister. The typical way of working is every ministry sends its demand. Frankly, we are not a ministry which makes many demands on the ministry in terms of resources. All the rest, there have been very detailed discussions at different levels. The Prime Minister has reviewed with stakeholders, etc. And I'm sure that the budget which will be unveiled on the 1st will be something that we can all, it will not just be a budget, it will be a new, emergence of new era of economic activity.
Windfall tax.
You can try another 3 times. I will not answer it because I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know.
All right. So thank you very much for speaking to us here on Business Today.
Thank you very much.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.